fantasy addicts, and this is Startem Sitem for Week 8. First game is Tampa Bay and Dallas.
For Tampa Bay, I like Graham.
Yeah, Dallas is struggling. Graham could have a big day, except that he hasn't been getting the carries lately, has he?
I think he's been splitting with Warrick.
Dunn.
And he did get the goal line look last week for the touchdown.
True, so I got Graham/Dunn starting. I think they can move the ball on Dallas. I don't like Garcia. Do not like Garcia. Even when he has his best day ever is for 180 yards, maybe a touchdown. And for that reason, I don't like any of their receivers. I don't like Roy Williams either this week. He was invisible last week. It's still too soon, especially with Romo hurt. I'm sure that affects their practice. And so I say sit Roy Williams. It would save for the playoffs.
As far as T.O. is concerned, I only like T.O. this week if Romo is starting.
All right, next game is Washington at Detroit.
All right, of course for Washington, Portis.
Portis is going to have a huge day.
He's been huge all year, so you roll with Portis. I think Cooley could have a good game against Detroit. Santana Moss, and Campbell. If you have Campbell, I think Campbell is a good start this week.
I was trying to think who else they have, because if I could think of anybody, I'd have started them. Do you think anybody? Randall L. I start Randall L. Anybody else? Liddell Betts is hurt. I'd still start him. I would start Liddell Betts, but they're going to romp Detroit as usual. But I like Calvin Johnson. All he needs is one play to get your production for the week, and that's what happened last week pretty much.
Two catches
for like 350 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kevin Smith, he broke off a 26-yard touchdown last week. He's had 60 plus the last 2 games. If you're in a deep league and need somebody, they're leaning back towards Kevin Smith.
All right, next game we have Buffalo at Miami.
So I like Lynch, Evans. I'd even take a look at Trent Edwards.
I like Trent Edwards in this one. If you have Trent Edwards, start him this week.
And because I think Buffalo is gonna whip him, I think Ronnie Brown's the only start I have in Miami. Again, he might come up donuts like last week. I think he had 40, 50 combined yards and no touchdowns. But the guy is the centerpiece of the offense. At some point, he's going to get his. Buffalo's not that great, and I think Aaron Schobel's still banged up. I think Terrence McGahee's still banged up, so they're not at 100%.
All right, next game we have St. Louis at New England.
Man, New England killed me last week. So Sammy Morris is hurt. And of course, Bill Belichick is hush-hush about the whole thing. So make sure and check his injury status. If he's playing, he's the only guy in town. So he's going to get the ball.
I think somebody for New England is going to run the ball against St. Louis. So it's either going to be Sammy Morris or Kevin Falk.
And just keep up with that towards the end of the week. Steven Jackson says he is playing. He just had a strained quad. So I, of course, start Steven Jackson monster last week. Just a monster.
I like another guy from the Rams. Donnie Avery.
Donnie Avery. I was eyeballing him too, man.
He's a deep threat, so I say give him a look if you need a receiver this week.
I don't like Castle, but I still like Moss and Welker. I think St. Louis has showed they have some backbone. They can get to the quarterback a little bit. And so, Castle can not look as good as he did against Denver every week. And I got Sid Mark Bolger, because he had a great game last week, 170 yards and a touchdown. That's like his ceiling all of a sudden.
Well, I agree, and I say, of course, sit Torrey Holt.
All right, San Diego, New Orleans.
All right, for San Diego, I like Rivers, I like Gates, I like LT, and depending on whether or not Chris Chambers plays, I like Malcolm Floyd.
You like Malcolm, so I'm still leaning towards Vincent Jackson. Malcolm Floyd's caught a touchdown in 2 straight games now.
2 straight games.
And he's going vertical a little bit too, so he's definitely got to keep an eye on. If Chambers comes back, I wouldn't touch him. As it is, I think I'd still rather have Vincent. But
you have to start Malcolm. He's got the spectacular catch rating on John Madden football. I like Deuce this week. Going against the Chargers, they're not that strong against the run.
And, Breeze is every week start, even though I don't really like it for him. He didn't look good last week. Shockey's down. Colston's looking invisible.
Well, I actually say if you have Colston, sit him this week. I don't like his matchup with Quentin Jammer.
I say sit Lance Moore, even Devery Henderson. Colston coming back might not be big news to Colston, but it's less balls getting thrown their way. They've just been so undependable. Next game is Kansas City and the Jets.
All right, Kansas City, I like 2 guys. Dwayne Bowe and T. Guns.
See, that's usually my line, but I don't even like Bowe this week. Big Pen's going to start, I think. Big Pen is terrible.
Well, I just don't like, the Jets D to completely shut down Kansas City. And so I think if anybody gets anything, it's going to be Dwayne Bowe, of course, and T. Guns.
I love Favre, Coles, Thomas Jones. Contry and Keller have been pretty hit or miss, so I'm not really giving them a big thumbs up.
I actually like Contry.
Yeah.
I like Contry this week. If you have Contry, I say start him.
Larry Johnson is crazy. Is out of his mind.
Of course, you have to sit him.
Yeah, but I don't think that means you pick up Kobe Smith or you can pick him up, but you can't start Kobe Smith or Jamal Charles. Neither one of them have run at all this year.
The Jets have been solid, especially against the run. So I say, of course, you said all Kansas City running backs.
James, Atlanta and Philly.
All right, for Atlanta, the only guy I like is Turner.
Yeah. See, I didn't like Turner as much. Philly can stop the run. I had Roddy White starting, though, even though Asante Samuel's going to be on him. I think the Eagles are going to put up points. They're averaging 30 points a game or something. So Atlanta, who has the capacity to, is going to try to keep up. I start all my Eagles. Westbrook, McNabb, Deshaun Jackson. But L.J. Smith caught a touchdown last week. If Westbrook's back, Kevin Curtis is coming back. That's going to dilute the pressure in the middle. I think L.J. Smith is going to start making a little appearance if he can stay healthy. A lot of people start Matt Ryan because he's been looking good. But Philly gets to the quarterback, especially young quarterbacks.
And I think they're going to give Ryan trouble this week. Next game, we have Oakland at Baltimore.
McGahee finally showed up. 105 yards, touchdown. Miami's not that big a pushover against the run, so I think he gets it done this week. I got a big start for McGahee and the sit for McClain. They've been steadily giving McGahee more and more carries, even around the goal line, and so McClain has looked bigger and slower every week. I like Derek Mason. He caught a touchdown, almost had 100 yards last game, and I even like Joe Flacco in Oakland. I think they're going there and whoop them. And I don't have a start on Oakland's team.
Well, I'm not sold on Flacco, but I do like Mason this week.
Yeah.
I think Mason is a good start.
And I mean, Oakland, you can't start any of the running backs. You can't start any of the wide receivers. You can't start Jamarcus Russell.
I say you sit everybody.
Or drop them. It's terrible. You shouldn't even be thinking about it because that means they're on your team. Arizona, Carolina.
All right, for Arizona, I like Kurt Warner, Larry Fitzgerald, and Bolden. Is he back this week? Of course, if he's playing, you start Bolden.
And if he's playing, you sit Breslin. He's still going to get catches, but, the days of 100 yards, 7 catches, touchdowns are over when Bolden's back. I'd start all my Panthers, except for maybe D'Angelo.
Oh, I sit D'Angelo, but you start DeLone this week. You start Steve Smith, of course, and you have to start Jonathan Stewart. I think Jonathan Stewart will have a solid game. He could get in the end zone.
I say start Moose. I say start Moose. He was really quiet last week. They're going to have to put points on the board to beat Arizona again. Cleveland and Jacksonville.
All right, for Cleveland, I'm going to give Braylon another chance. So I say you start Braylon this week, and of course you start Jamal Lewis. Yeah. Jamal Lewis is getting more and more carries. He's starting to get more involved in the offense. So I like Lewis this week.
I don't think anybody else besides Lewis. Don't start Stallworth. Don't start any of those other scrubs. Do not start Derek Anderson.
As for Jacksonville, the only start I have this week is Mojo.
Yeah, I like David Gerard.
You like Gerard?
Yeah, I mean, he's only thrown 1 pick in the last 3 games, I think. He doesn't put up outrageous numbers. He's a touchdown a week guy. But a touchdown, 250 yards, no turnovers. I don't like any of the wide receivers. Matt Jones is finally getting his suspension for the little cocaine thing over the summer. And so, if I like Gerard, it would seem like I would like one of his targets, but I don't. I don't. They're stinky. Cincinnati and Houston.
All right, for Cincinnati, the only guy I like this week is TJ.
Yeah, I like Chad. He's getting a little loose, man. Caught that touchdown pass. Houston does not have a DB in town. For Houston, I like everybody, man. They're turning into a productive machine. Steve Slayton, Andre Johnson, Owen Daniels, even Kevin Walters. Because Cincy, again, they don't have DBs either. And so.
Well, if you like all those guys, then you have to like Matt Shaw.
Yep.
To have a big game.
Yep. I do. I don't like any of the running backs in Cincinnati, and I don't like Amon Green.
All right, next game we have the Giants at Pittsburgh. I think Plax is going to have a huge game.
I do too. It's tough to run on Pittsburgh, but I like Brandon Jacobs. They only give him 10 carries. He gets 100 yards and a touchdown.
But the only reason I like Jacobs this week is because he can get the goal line looks. Yep. He can score a touchdown, maybe 2.
And I don't think any of those backs in Pittsburgh, whether Willie Parker comes back or it's Muley Moore, they're not going to do to the Giants what they did this week.
I like Hines Ward this week.
I do too. I even like Keith Miller a little bit. I think they're going to be getting the ball out of Eli's hands quick after getting kind of a lot of pressure last week. They're going to go short a lot. So I don't like Santonio, but I do like Hines. All right, Seattle, San Francisco.
All right, for Seattle, I think you have to start Julius Jones this week.
Yeah.
He's going against San Francisco. They're not a great run-stopping defense. So I think Julius has a pretty good game against the 49ers.
I say start San Francisco. I say start Frank Gore. I say start JT because, again, Seattle's defense has been awful. Everybody beats them 34-10.
And for that reason, I say you start Isaac Bruce this week.
And Josh Morgan, the rookie, got in the end zone. He got a lot of attention. But I do say sit Vernon Davis. I hate Vernon Davis, man. He's invisible.
He's an underachiever.
He is the biggest underachiever ever.
For Monday night, we have Indy at Tennessee. Tennessee is at home. The crowd is going to be pumped up, and I think the defense is going to take it to Peyton. Yeah. They're going to be too physical, just like the Patriots used to do the Colts every year. I say you still start Peyton Manning if you have him, and also Reggie Wayne, but those are the only 2 guys I like this week from Indy. I say you sit the running backs, you have to, and I say you sit Harrison.
So the only starts I have in Tennessee are Johnson and White, because the quarterback is terrible, the receivers are terrible. On bye this week is Chicago, Denver, Minnesota, and Green Bay. So don't be that fool starting anybody from that team. So that's Startem Sitem for week 8. Go make sure to check out the website for our power rankings, all kinds of good stuff, thefantasyaddicts.com. See ya.